In October, the National Energy Board will hold hearings to decide if the project known as Line 9 can go ahead, and this has a lot of people worried. Line 9 is an old pipeline set to deliver heavy crude, or bitumen, from Sarnia to Montreal and beneath the millions of homes in between.
This pipeline is very old, 40, 50 years old, and to make bitumen flow, you have to put all kinds of extra additives that are solvents, and you have to keep it at a higher temperature and a higher pressure. And as a result, you're creating more stress on the pipeline than this pipeline's experienced over the last 50 years. So we are really concerned that this pipeline is going to leak into waterways in southern Ontario or in southern Quebec.
Mr. Bennett won't get the chance to present his concerns at the hearings, and neither will hundreds of others who question the safety of Line 9. That's because the rules that govern public participation in Canada have changed drastically over the last few years. Changes that have been brought in slowly and secretly.
No one would ever, in a free and democratic society, say, we're never going to let you speak. What we did instead was we created a process whereby you apply for permission to speak. You apply for permission to send a letter. You apply for permission to speak in person. You apply for permission to actually make a presentation at a hearing. And to do that, you actually have to go to the website and navigate your way through an intense, insane maze. Let me show you. What we have here is the National Energy Board's page, which relates to the public hearing process, your guide to understanding NEB hearings. But you go from this page to this page, and when you get there, you actually click on applying to participate in a hearing. But watch this. The NEB wants to hear from those who are directly affected by the project or who have relevant information or expertise before making a decision or a recommendation about the company's proposal. Anybody else, they don't care. They don't want to hear from you. If your objection is, you think you should live in a land that has lower carbon emissions, you think you should live in a land that has alternative energy sources or alternative energy possibilities other than pipelines or tar sands, they actually specifically say they're not interested in that.
Environmental assessment is how society or the state makes decisions about whether or not it wants to do something. So the fundamental change that's taken place is that there's no need to offer alternatives. There's no need to justify a project. The justification is the fact that some company or some government wants to do something, and as soon as they want to do it, they have the right to do it, and you're not allowed to question that.
Let's say, for some strange reason, you actually think you fall under this very narrow, restricted category of who gets to speak at a hearing. Then you have to find the document that you have to fill out. And finding the document is not easy. And when you find it, you realize it's over 9 pages long, and it has to be filed in a particular manner and in a particular way. And even then, the National Energy Board reserves the right to deny you permission to send a letter to a hearing.
This particular government federally has determined that anyone who questions it is an enemy of them, and by implication an enemy of the state and an enemy of Canada. They've actually said things like that we are actually damaging Canadian interests.
If the only thing that the 99% has is their voice, well, then the one thing that you can take away from them is their voice. And if you write the rules such that they're not allowed to speak anymore, well, that's pretty effective. That creates the impression that we're all in agreement with this. The National Energy Board can actually say, you know what, we held a hearing on this, and everybody who appeared at the hearing was in favor of going ahead. And they're right, because they rigged the rules such that the only people who could speak at the hearing were people who were actually in favor of the thing going ahead.
Canadians have been never educated to recognize this kind of a creeping fascism, which we are facing. It's supposed to be some guy with a little mustache who's yelling at you that's depriving you of rights. Well, we have a very nice-looking guy who plays Beatles songs on the piano that's working every day to limit the ability of Canadians to participate in decisions that affect them.